Rocky Long and San Diego State getting ready for another Friday night game, this time down at his old stomping grounds, New Mexico. And here is Coach Long back on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. Hey, Coach.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Yourself?
I'm all right.
Hey, Coach, before we even talk about what happened Friday night, I just want to ask you, do you remember last year before the Idaho Potato Bowl, you guys are getting ready for Buffalo? Do you remember, does Brandon Oliver jump off on film to you and say, now there's an NFL running back we're going to be taking on?
I knew he was going to get a chance in the NFL. I didn't know he'd be as good as he is. Mm-hmm. But, no, he had a great year last year, and we were lucky enough to contain him, and he didn't do that to us.
Yeah. Well, he did it to the Jets. Couldn't do it to you guys. Guess the Jets should play a 3-3-5.
There you go.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just wondering because, you've mentioned this a couple times this year. I mean, when we talked about the Oregon State game earlier this year, you said, hey, they've got an NFL quarterback. We knew Buffalo had a first-round draft choice outside linebacker, but little did we know that they had a running back who would make this kind of impact on the Chargers as an undrafted rookie.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew that, and he's taken advantage of his opportunity.
That's right. Coach, speaking of taking advantage of an opportunity, a true freshman at quarterback on the road for his first start in conference. What went well for the young quarterback?
Not much.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried to design a few plays early in the game, very first part of the game, that he could get his confidence. I mean, we had a wide-open receiver on the very first play of the game. If he just throws it close to him, it'll catch it. It'll be a long game, maybe an 80-yard touchdown. We throw a throwback screen to the tight end, which is a very easy play to execute, and that's probably going to go. Our tight end's not that fast, so if he gets the ball to him, he's going to go 40 or 50 yards. So we tried to get him off to a fast start, and he wasn't ready for it. And then we kind of closed it in, got conservative, ran the ball okay. Without the threat of the pass, that's hard to do, but we ran the ball okay, and we're hanging in the game until we got called for roughing the punter.
Yeah, penalties, roughing the punter, and also another ongoing issue, pass interference in the red zone.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell your kids not to be aggressive.
Yeah. You watch the film and you think these were legit penalties? In particular, the PI in the end zone.
Well, I guess it is because that's the way they're calling it. It kind of looked like it should have been called both ways to me. I mean, their wide receiver had a hold of his shoulder pads like he was tackling them and trying to throw him down. And the ball was thrown up there, and he's being as aggressive as any DB that we have, and probably more aggressive than our DB, and we get called for interference. So if they're going to call it that way, they're going to call it that way.
Yeah.
Well, the video replay, Rocky, I mean, of the punt that was blocked and the roughing the kicker foul that was called after, and it shows that the ball was touched. It was tipped on after the kid had kicked it.
Well, it looked like it was tipped during the game, and because the flight of the ball changed dramatically, our young man said he had touched him, or he touched the ball. Now, the players will lie to you, but no, he said he did. So we asked for a review. They said no, and since that time, they've admitted they were wrong and apologized.
Well, that doesn't do you much good now, then, does it?
Nope, doesn't do you any good at all.
No. So I guess the next thing to do, when we're talking to Rocky Long from San Diego State, is kind of you gotta let this one go. And I'm not telling you. I mean, I'm saying just as a team. It's a true freshman in his first start on the road, and things don't get any easier because it's another Friday night game and it's on the road. And granted, based on just looking at what New Mexico has not been able to do so far this year in terms of who they've played and who they've beaten, it's another really tough spot to put a young quarterback in.
It is, and they're a lot better than they have been in the past, and they're playing pretty well. I mean, they were ahead of Fresno all the way up until about 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the game. They were leading in that game. They'll be excited. They got a little confidence. They won last week. They'll be excited about playing. They run an unusual offense. They run triple option out of the pistol, which actually gives them a little better chance to throw the ball. So they'll pound the ball. I think they're fourth in the country in rushing offense. They're scoring some points. It's going to be until our quarterback plays well, it's going to be hard to beat anybody. If you look at last Saturday's game, which I got to see a couple of them, anybody can beat anybody at any time. It's starting to look like pro football.
So, Rocky, what do you do with your quarterback to make sure that he at least takes another step up?
Well, you can look at the negatives and the positives. There weren't many positives, but he actually had one pretty good drive where he drove down and scored, give us 13 points. He made a couple throws in that drive that were on target. We caught him. On a 3rd and 7, he made a nice throw. We caught it and got a first down and drove it down and scored. So in the second half, he was actually looked more comfortable and played a little bit better. He threw 2 interceptions right at the end. One of them was off the hands of a wide receiver that should have caught the ball. The other one he probably should have thrown in the stands because it was a screen pass and it wasn't open. It got tipped and they intercepted it. So that was a mistake, but he actually looked a little more comfortable in the second half.
Boy, I'll tell you what, he also looked good running the ball.
Well, he can run the ball. I wish he would have done more of it instead of throwing it to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you tell me. I mean, because I would think it's got to be really hard. I mean, I think
the hardest thing there is.
I would think all coaches are control freaks, and your quarterback is the only guy that can really help you control what's going on the field. And you have a young, inexperienced guy, and so you're trying to control everything. I'm just asking. And rather than having like a trust, as in, hey, let's just let him go do it, as if he were a senior. I mean, is that an accurate description of the feeling of a head coach when you've got a true freshman quarterback?
I think that you go into the game with confidence. People ask me, did you expect him to have trouble? We talked last week. I was like you. I thought he was going to play just fine. I was disappointed in the way he played because I had confidence that he was going to play well. But now it's hard for me to remember because I'm so damn old. But I was a young player at one time too, and the young players sometimes respond well. They don't respond well, but you can't ever give up on him. And he's our best quarterback that's healthy, and so you got to hang in there with him. You got to tailor it to what he does best. And hopefully he plays much better this week, or we don't have a chance to win.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so too. I mean, it's very interesting to watch a young kid, 18 years old, try and develop on the fly. But I mean, how else do you do it? I mean, if he doesn't get his first start as a true freshman, he's going to get his first start as a redshirt freshman, and then
go through the same thing.
Yeah. So let's go through these growing pains. Thankfully, I mean, Coach, you say New Mexico's better. I take you at your word, but I mean, they've got 2 wins. The 2 wins are against New Mexico State and Texas San Antonio. Anybody else that they've played, they got beat by UTEP. They got killed by Arizona State. They lost to Fresno State. I mean, they may be better, but this is a very winnable spot for the Aztecs. Would you agree?
I agree. It's winnable for both teams. Like I said, you watch the college football nowadays, and there's obvious favorites going into games that are losing. I think we had 6 teams in the top 10 or something lose this week. So I think that a college game is based on momentum, it's based on confidence, and it's based on players making plays, just like pro football has become. And they're playing some young rookie quarterbacks, and not even rookie quarterbacks in the NFL, and then paying them millions of dollars. And guess what? They play terrible.
Yeah. I mean, see Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. Well, I think this, when you say confidence and momentum, I'll tell you this right now. You're 18 years old, and your coach comes to you and he says, hey, look, it was your first game. And we lost. It's over. But you're still the best guy that we've got, and we're going to try and make a good game plan for you this week. Don't feel pressured. Just go out and play. That will change a kid's entire mindset. No question in my mind.
Well, I'm glad we agree because he's already been given that talk.
Very good. Well, if not, again, I'm available. I told you that last week.
Yeah. Coach, what about the highlights, if there are any? I know that Calvin Munson turned in a great play, strip, and caused a fumble.
Yeah, and J.J. Whitaker had a great interception early in the game. When you consider the number of plays they ran and some of the field position that we found ourselves in, overall the defense played okay. We held them for, about 150 yards less than their normal total offense. We're still second in the league and I think 40th in the country in scoring defense, and So the defense played okay, and the positive is the offensive line. I thought they played really well because when you figure out the quarterback can't throw and complete the ball, you can put a whole bunch of guys close to the line of scrimmage, and we still ran the ball effectively. That kept us in the game. So there are some positives, but I think if we can get good quarterback play, we've got a really good football team. But it's kind of getting that way in all of football. If your quarterback plays good, like Phillip Rivers plays good, you got a chance to win them all. If they don't play good, you don't have much of a chance to win.
Mm-hmm. I think that's exactly right. Yep. Coach Long, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week, and good luck this Friday at New Mexico.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
All right. Coach Long going home. Going to play his old team.